Oh yeah.
Hello, everybody. We're back for another great conversation. My name is Dr. McGuire. Today we have Ron from Arizona. How are you, Ron?
Nice to be here, Doc. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, pleasure. So, Ron, I do a lot of interviews, career-based, education-based, life stories, and we connected not too long ago. I think we had some great conversations that led up to where we are today, and thank you so much for talking to me. So let's keep the theme today of purpose, right? We all have a purpose. We all have struggles, zigzags through life, and you, if anybody, knows that. Share with us exactly your story, right? We want to keep it short. We want to move along. We want to hit a couple good points, but you are restricted, right? In some cases.
Yeah, I'm a quadriplegic, so that means I have no use of my hands or my legs, and I have no feeling from my chest down. And so I'm pretty much dependent on caregivers in order to live independently.
Okay. And I'm sure you have good days, bad days, like all of us, right? But you keep on plugging forward. Seems like you have a great life. But let's go to the backstory. What happened that put you in the situation, and when was that?
Okay, in 1976, when I graduated, actually I graduated in 75, it took a year to wait to go to the Coast Guard because it's such a small branch. There's a long waiting list back then. So I wanted to join the Coast Guard. I had three options: become a musician, have a career there. I was given a scholarship to culinary art school, or pursue my childhood dream of being a sailor. And I didn't want to cook, and I thought being a musician wasn't really be realistic, and that my probably my weaknesses and immaturity would lead me down the wrong road. So I chose three: the Coast Guard because of structure and because of purpose. Now, about knocking all the other services, they all have their part, but the Coast Guard's main focus is to save lives. I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted my life to mean something. I wanted to have honor. And yeah, maybe my ego wanted to be a hero. And so I enlisted in the Coast Guard and did the 10 weeks intense training in Cape May, New Jersey, got stationed in Morehead City, North Carolina on a 210-foot seagoing tug named the Cholula. And my life as a sailor started. It was a great dream. I was living it, a purpose, everything. And then on June 2nd of 1977, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, a buddy of mine was laying at the beach at Triple S Pier, Morehead City. I went in for one last swim. He stayed on the beach. I dove into shallow water, hit my head, completely crushed my fifth and sixth vertebrae in my neck. I was completely paralyzed, but I was not knocked unconscious. So I literally had to face death, my own drowning. And people say that drowning is a piece of way to go. That's BS. Maybe if you're unconscious, but if you're conscious and you know that if you don't breathe, it's the end of your life. It's terrifying, Doc.
Right.
And that's exactly what it was to me. As I held my breath, paralyzed, and tried to turn, I could not, and I could see daylight in the corner of my eyes. I had a quite incredible near-death experience happen. And for a short time, I thank God, I had a good talk, and I begged God for a miracle because I had just turned 22 weeks before this. Well, the next thing I know, I woke my eyes again, and I was looking up at this bright light. And I thought, oh my God, I'm back in there. And all of a sudden, I felt the warmth of the sun. And my friend looked over me. His name was Scott. The first words was, Scott, you saved my life. And he pulled me out, gave me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and brought me back to life.
So
And
how long did this situation go on for?
as far as being out in the water,
Yeah.
well, it seemed like an eternity, probably minutes, maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. Fortunately for me as a kid, I had a built-in pool. And so I always practiced keeping my breath on the water and trying to collect as many rocks as I could. And I always won the contest. We always competed on the block with the other kids. And I never knew that particular game we would play would be something that was part of saving my life, along with God sending me back, and that Scott risked his own life, which is what a Coast Guardman does, or Coast Guard woman, dives into the water, not thinking about themselves, risking your life to save another life, to put your life on the line. And he pulled me out. He performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and I opened my eyes again. And Doc, I'll never, ever, ever be able to explain to you in words, and I've told the story thousands of times, what it was like to die in my own lifetime and then to return back, realizing I got a second chance, Doc.
Wow. That's amazing.
People go, why do you have such a great attitude? Why are you always smiling? Well, I'm a very, very, very small percentage of people that tasted death and saw the other side and was granted a second chance at life. Now, how could you not have a good attitude? I mean, I feel so honored, so special that I was returned.
No,
I
that's
mean,
amazing. But let's jump ahead through all these years, keeping that positive attitude. What motivates you day in and day out?
what motivates me is that I still have a purpose, regardless of all that I've sacrificed. And you know what, Doc, as I say in one of my videos, ironically, my purpose hasn't changed. I'm on social media and I'm inspirational and I'm saving a few lives. The only thing is I'm dry docked, laying in bed, and I'm not out at sea anymore. But my purpose is still the same.
Right. Let's talk about, because you said empathy versus sympathy.
Right, a negative and a positive. Empathy being positive, negative being negative, which I associate with pity. Empathy, of course, is someone that relates to someone that can understand what you're going through. Pity is just feeling sorry for somebody. And that's not what anybody, regardless of your physicality, no one ever wants one other to feel sorry for themselves. They want you to relate to what you're going through, you know, a camaraderie, you know, that I've been through that. I see where you're at. And don't worry, you're going to get through it. And not that, oh, you poor soul. You know, people just don't understand when they look at me. They judge me by my outward appearance. Right away, wheelchair equals depression, sorrow. It doesn't, Doc. It's all your attitude or perception on things. My attitude or perception is totally focused on a great life and doing what I can do, that I'm left here on this planet, that I can make the best of things. And I get testimonies and sharings from people all the time. And you know what the most common word I hear, Doc? The word smile.
Wow.
And you know what happened? 3 years ago, so the pandemic came along 2 years ago, and it robbed everyone of their joy and their smile. It took a mask and covered it. And you know what? Even though the mask is coming down, the smiles just haven't returned. My job, Doc, to put back the smile.
Hey, you put a smile on my face when I first met you.
Well, thank you, Doc.
And we're coast to coast, right? We're far away, but that doesn't matter.
Well, that's the power of social media. You see, it's like every Tuesday when I do a live, it just blows my mind like a kid that I'm laid in bed and I don't have a clothes on, I'm barely naked, and I'm talking to the world. You know, Portugal, Australia, New Zealand, England, London, Ireland, Germany. It's just the list goes on and on. Now, you don't tell me if that's not a powerful social media platform. Oh my God, it's just, like I said, it blows my mind.
Yeah, I agree. I think the same thing every day. So just to recap for everybody, go ahead.
Well, you know what? The pandemic actually had a positive side. You know, social media was basically sitting on a shelf, collecting a little dust, and then the pandemic came along, and wow, what an opportunity for social media, right?
Right.
Because of for isolation came us, social media gave us socialization. And so, in a divine sense, the pandemic was a very positive thing. in so many ways. Now, people think I'm strange in saying this, but you just think about how much you appreciate now you didn't before the pandemic. I'm sure everyone's list has increased, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It is fascinating. But I want everybody to understand, though, in terms of what I do, why we connected, right? So you had this passion, this interest to go into the Coast Guard and make a difference based on what you said, right? And unfortunately,
Exactly.
that didn't work out, right? But it was career driven, and I admire you for pursuing something that you were passionate in, and and it took another turn. We'll leave it at that. Um, what do you do on a regular basis to what are your hobbies?
Well, mostly I'm up at 3:30 in the morning writing. I got so much creativity and energy for someone who's so still. It has to be divinely sourced. It's just, I go on and on and on and on like that buddy on the battery commercials. It's just what drives me so much is that I'm justifying my accident. I'm turning something from a tragedy into a victory. Many people don't have the opportunity that I do because I was in the Coast Guard. So I am retired. I have a pension. And that pension provides enough money to take 7 caregivers a month and to get some food and pay some bills. And because of me being in that situation, my purpose, my pleasure, my passion is to fill a voice that a lot of people with disabilities just can't. So I'm representing the people with disabilities, and I have since I've moved here. I was on the ground level of starting the first independent living center here in Tucson, an advocate for people with all disabilities. And so I became a motivational public speaker really strong back then in 1980. My purpose, my reason for doing that was I was abandoned by my parents and left with no one to take care of me because my parents had emotional breakdown. So I went to the VA nursing home to stay, and I found this organization that was just starting, in the Metro Independent Living Center. They helped me connect with someone who wanted to be my caregiver. And so I went back to the house I was renting with my parents and restarted my life there. And my parents leaving was definitely the best thing that ever happened because I was totally free.
Wow.
I was totally myself. I was driving the car,
Yeah. Yeah.
My whole
What
life is my whole life's like a Hollywood story.
I like it though. You stay positive. Can you recall a situation where, and I'm sure there's many, but maybe one that comes to mind where somebody that has that's in a similar situation where you made an impact?
That's a good question. I'm sure. Well, you know what, Doc? I spent a month trying to recover in intensive care in North Carolina. I kept begging, please get me home to New York. Right, I lived in Long Island.
Right.
And so, amazingly, through connections that I won't go into, a private airback plane was landed at Cherry Point to take me to the Bronx VA, where I did my 11 months of recovery. So I spent almost a year of my life with veterans from World War I, World War II, Korea War, Vietnam War, and the respect that I got and learned from being with these gentlemen who would tomorrow go back and fight for this country was a lesson that I would never have learned anywhere else. Was it worth my disability? Perhaps yes, because as I say, my disability brought out a much better version of me. And part of that is how much I appreciate the men and women who wear our uniform, and that my respect for them because they all made sacrifices, and yet they still have patriotism. They have a pride in this country that seems to be vanishing. And you know what? I carry that torch with them.
Mhm. Yeah. What message would you give a message or ah, what what would you say to somebody who has not gone through something like you? Like I think people get bothered by the little things, right?
Well,
The things that
yeah,
don't
of
matter,
course,
right?
of course.
What would be your
That's
message to somebody who can't see the forest for the trees?
well. First of all, my message would be that believe in yourself, set goals, and go for what you feel your purpose is in life. Don't settle for a job that's not you because you'll never be happy, and every day you'll dread going to work. So, if you don't know your purpose, perhaps you could create one. But you have to focus your energy, love, passion into something you enjoy and love in life and feel that it's your calling. Then it won't be work. It'll be a pleasure and you will contribute to the world the most. I mean, you'll be fulfilling your place here. That's why you were put here.
Do you think it's harder today for somebody to understand that as a young adult?
Well, I don't think it's changed. It's always going to be hard. People just necessarily going to take things for granted. You don't appreciate things until they're gone, of course. That's human nature. Now, my goal, my passion, my purpose is to plant seeds in people to come to understand, to realize how quickly all your freedom, all your independency can be gone in a split second. And then when you are, you're left like me, totally dependent on everyone to do all things physically, but not my mind. My mind is as sharp as ever. I don't take medication to be dulled. I'm sharp, I am in control, and I know what I'm doing, and I am living my purpose. I'm content. If I were to close my eyes now and say goodbye to you and to my life, I'd have no regrets.
Hmm, interesting. Explain to me when you said plant the seed in others. What do you
Well,
mean? Give me an
well,
example.
I've been doing that since I started motivational speaking, and especially in elementary schools, because their minds have the most fertile soil.
Mhm.
You can plant a lot of seeds of hope, determination, self belief, going after your goals and not letting anyone discourage you. Those are the little seeds, that I plant in these children. Well, I used to. I want to get back into doing that. I want to come back into the motivational talks again. That's partly why I'm here today. That's what brought us together.
Sure.
Is that I put the word out on TikTok. I planted the seed. I set forth in motion my goal, and with the help of social media and certain connections, I believe that it'll be brought to me opportunities to do this. My goal is to worldwidely do motivational talks and make the world a little happier, smiley place once again.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So let me share a few pictures if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
All right. Let's show everybody your funny side for a minute.
Yeah,
What is going
well,
on there? You need a haircut.
and that is that's Rhonda. And Rhonda is just another part of me, a personality. I come from a long line of storytellers, and putting on a wig is nothing new to my family. And so it's just me in character, having fun, enjoying life, and not
Comic relief, right?
it's comic relief, and it's not taking life so serious.
Right. Okay. Hang on a minute. Let
Oh
me
yeah.
check out another one because we do have a few beauties here. I'm going to say let's go with your guitar there.
Oh God, that was my love. It'll always be my love. And let me tell you something. You know what? I easily give up my legs. It's my hands that were the tough thing. You know, when you have your hands, you have everything. You're totally independent. My guitar was such a hard thing to do. It took me 3 years to be in the same room as that guitar because it was who I was. It went everywhere I went. It was like losing the closest of friends. And you know, it's again, it's one of those things that I sacrificed to become. I'll use the word enlightened, more compassionate, more aware. You know, everything in life you pay a price for. I gave up a lot, but Doc, I got a lot back. Is it equal? Am I ahead of the game? I say yes, but outsiders might judge otherly. That's just them. But I'm glad I'm going through life the way I am, and I would not change a thing because then I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Let me ask
And
you this.
I mean that honestly, Doc, from my heart.
Do you think people in general are entitled? Do you think people have this entitlement among themselves?
Excuse me, they have what now?
Do you think people in certain situations that think their life is great and perfect, they are entitled, have an entitlement?
Have entitlement? That's a good question. Well, I think they're entitled to it if they're earning it. I mean, some people get things handed to them that have no appreciation or respect for. Take a young person who has a cell phone. If it breaks and they get lost, they have no, they have attachment to it, but it's not. They don't have an investment in it, so they go to their parents. Oh, you know, give me another phone. Where somebody that worked at McDonald's for a year to buy that phone, don't go near it, or they'll break you. They'll punch you in the face. I mean, they're going to protect that thing because they earned it. You know.
Right.
I think that's something you instills in people as they work for something. They have a goal, and at the end of that goal, they get their reward.
So who's responsible for that? Parents, schools,
oh,
society?
it's definitely society, and let's just face it, education is on the back shelf, and sports and Hollywood, that kind of stuff gets top priority. Now, is that right or wrong? I think it's wrong. I think we need to invest in our country, especially our youth. Who gets top priority? Children, in my book. Children. They are the future. They are where we need to invest in. Football, sports, all that stuff. You know, this athlete gets paid so much money. Is it not out of proportion? I think so.
I agree.
And you know, you're in education, you know, and I'm sure you understand this, that teachers are on the last of the line.
Yep.
And it's sad. I saw a video the other day, and a woman who's been teaching for 8 years said, I'm leaving because my air conditioner isn't working. I get no help, no support. My kids are passing out. I had tears in my eyes for this teacher because she's abandoned. That is so sad.
Right. And the lack of respect, right? The data shows that about approximately 280,000, there's 280,000 teacher shortage.
No wonder people don't want to become law enforcement or teachers because that whole prestige of doing that job is gone. I mean, it's like people spit in cops' face and teachers don't get support. And it's like, why would you want to do that? You know,
Right.
Even though you feel perhaps that you're calling, society and what's being valued sort of blocks you.
Right.
You know?
I agree. Let's continue with maybe you can repeat it rather than me read it. You said that, I believe, a beautiful way to honor, you went on to go to say about ashes and planting them in your garden.
Oh, the way that went to my garden.
Well, So you said, I believe a beautiful way to honor a past.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes, I understand you saying. Yes, a beautiful way to honor someone who has passed is by taking their ashes that usually is in a very ugly urn in most cases, like it was for my father and my brother, and taking those ashes and mixing them with some soil and growing something, perhaps a tree, a bush, or me, flowers. Now, my brother was a construction worker biker. Trust me, he was not a flower guy. But when I saw that watering can for sale, the old galvanized can on next door, it was one of these spiritual things that happened. And I heard a voice say, "That's your brother's new urn." And I went, "What?" And I remember I'm up at 3:30 in the morning when spirit guides and the whole world is, well, Tucson's quiet. And that's when you get a lot of messages, if you believe that, which I do. And I was clearly hearing that that water can belonged to my brother. And I'll tell you the quickest story is that I bought that watering can from a woman who I found out her brother died the exact same day my brother died.
Wow.
Now you tell me something. What are the odds on that?
Right.
When she told me that, it was like, she came over to bring me the watering can, and we found out, and just was like, we both just started crying. I mean, and you know what she did, this beautiful woman that lived around my neighborhood? She volunteered to go to the nursery, FaceTime. I picked out the flowers. She came back and she mixed my brother's ashes in the soil. A stranger, right? She did all this for me. That's the beautiful people of life. That watering can wound up being a treasure in so many things. And my brother now hangs outside. His motorcycle chain from his Harley is what I used to hang the water. How perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so I sit beside that watering can every day, along with my mom's pot who's underneath. I have a pot for my mom with the ashes and growing flowers, and it's still life. And I guess that's the most symbolic thing of the whole thing, is that it symbolizes that no matter what, that their lives, their spirit is still living on in my backyard, in my heart. And the flowers are just a great way to represent them.
Very symbolic. And correct me if I'm wrong, like I would view it as a form of therapy.
Oh, yes. In fact, my father's ashes are in a tackle box in front of the old bait shop memorial I built.
Oh, wow.
So I was supposed to, 1978, I was given 10 years to live. So everybody in my family, my relatives, all thought I would be the first to leave. Well, guess what, Doc? I'm the last. And so is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? It's good and it's not. But I have all my family here. I call it the trilogy of Trozzies because my last name is Trozzi. And I have my family, my members, my family here, my father's ashes on the bait shop that I built for him, and my mom in the pot, and my brother in the old galvanized tough watering can that still has a purpose. I rescued that thing because no one liked it anymore. But it got a new life from me, and that's what I'm about. Second chances.
Yeah. With that said, let me say, I have a picture, I believe. Hang on. I thought I did. Sorry, I have a dog barking.
Oh, it's okay.
That's all
I think he's enjoying the show.
I thought I had a picture of your garden. I don't. My apologies.
I gave you the crazy Adirondack chair planters from one end to the other.
I
One
know.
of my crazy designs that I have this crazy imagination, and I come up with ideas and I share them, and then through other people's hands, they help bring it into reality. So I've written stories about things about helping hands. And someone who's in my situation that is a quadriplegic, has no use of their hands, if they come to terms with that or comfortable with that, they can allow someone else to bring things into reality for them, and it's a partnership. And so I'm very comfortable doing that because that's basically my life right now. And I'm not going to have dreams, and I'm not going to have these ideas and goals and visions and creations that I'm not going to see into reality. I'm going to see it through. And so, I work with people that come into my life, and they have to be certain special people, especially the one that built my father's memorial, because that was extremely personal to me. And, you know, you put out the energy for looking for things. And if you're living a good life, I believe in what we call putting out good karma, that good things will come back to you. And if you're an asshole, maybe not.
No, I get it. I get it. Go ahead.
You know,
Finish that thought.
and so I practice and preach the same thing. It's like, and I think that's why a lot of people gravitate to me on social media, is that, I'm real, I'm genuine, I'm compassionate. I don't have this ego about my my Facebook and my TikTok followers. I use the word family, and I asked the question one day to my TikTokers how important family is to them. Oh my God. The comments came out of the woodwork. Now, I don't mark success by emojis and likes and all that crap. I mark it by comments. If I get someone to write back to me, wow, because we live in the emoji world.
Yeah.
The lazy man's form of expression, right? Self-expression. It's so easy, but to me, it's meaningless. But when someone actually takes the time to write to me, that is the goal. That is my reward. And I get a lot of that. People confide and tell me things that they probably wouldn't tell anyone else. And so I honor that. That makes me feel really special. And that hopefully, I can return, help them. And I've done that, And so I always tell people our paths cross for a reason. It's always going on. I have something to offer you. You have something to offer me. The exchange is always going on. Maybe we're not aware of it, but always on some other level. The energy is going back and forth. And sometimes I'm selfish looking for that, because I know if I help someone, someone's going to help me back.
Right. I love the everything's should be a two-way street, right?
Always, always.
And I agree, though. Even political views aside, religious beliefs, I'm in the nature of do the right thing, right, and it will come back. Listen, there's no guarantee, but you just try to do the right thing and be the good person. Real quick, Ron, I found this. I did find your picture. Hang on, of your garden.
Okay.
There we go. Or I guess it's a garden, right?
Ah, hey,
Or not.
I tell people that's a proctologist waiting room.
Oh gosh.
I know, I on the next door website, someone was giving away free Adirondack chairs that he built. And I tried to get them, but I was like third in line. And I told the guy, I appreciate you let me know that they were giving away. I said, I got those chairs. You know what I was going to do with them? He said, what? I was going to make planters out of them. He's like, that's a really unusual idea. And it stuck in the back of my mind. And then magically I met the right person. And again, it's one of these Hollywood stories. And again, the idea, the creative force within me, they came up with a crazy idea that kept with me until the right person came into my path. And her name was Tamara, and she was a carpenter, and voila. I worked with her, designed the chairs, and they are the most unusual planters you'll probably see, but they're
I
me.
like. They look like a postcard. It's very Arizona-ish.
Yeah, well, that's, my whole yard is like a living museum, and that north wall is the desert part of where I live, Tucson. And so it's all There's all cactuses, and so that particular whole north wall tells a story, and that a lot of the items have stories behind them. And so like I said, my whole backyard oasis is a living entity that breathes and tells so many stories. And that's why I went on TikTok originally. I was Ron the Desert Sailor telling tales from his seaside backyard out in the Tanqueray Valley in Tucson. But that certainly broadened as I started showing people the garden that I was creating. All that manifested in just a little over 2 years.
Wow.
Amazing, right?
Right.
Again, that's when you set forth in motion ideas, put the energy behind it, pray about it, think about it. People do treasure maps. They list in front of their toilet what they want, so they see it every day. Whatever you want to call it. You want to keep working towards the goal every way you can, and of course, be around people that support you.
Absolutely.
Get rid of all people that have negativity, that want to bring it down or want to discourage you. Don't keep those people around you. Don't.
Well, that garden, yeah, I agree. That garden looks very inspirational. Hey, it's better than going up the Jersey Turnpike, right?
Oh yeah. I don't miss the city, and I lived on Long Island, so I'm just a Long Island boy. That's where my passion for the water
Right.
came. My father was a big fisherman and took me fishing every Saturday.
Nice. Yeah, Long Island has changed, I'll tell you that.
Right. That's why I put that bait shop for my dad, because my father was one of these like Andy Griffith fathers,
Yeah.
and he was just such a good dad and taught me so much. I tell people all the time that I am my father's son in so many ways. And that myself makes me really proud, because my father was liked by so many people. So many of my friends wanted to adopt both my parents as theirs. That's quite a compliment.
That's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one day when I get out there, I want to check out that garden.
I would love that. Yeah, you're in this area, a lot of people constantly like, I want to come visit you. It's like, well, it's like, I just can't open my backyard to anybody, because I
Yeah.
hate to be like this, but it's a dark side of social media,
Absolutely.
and the evil forces, they lurk on there. They're like scavengers. They're like criminals. They have no heart. They just want to take from you, and it's like, sometimes I get so tired of the dark side of social media because of my popularity. Now, I'm not a star. I got over 17,000 followers, but because of my situation being an older gentleman that's disabled, I get approached all the time by female scammers that, just want gift cards and all these things. And it's just like, it's callous to me.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm old school. I'm used to walking to somewhere and maybe looking to someone's eyes and say, wow, and you feel that magic, and you go over and you start talking to the person, and right away in person, you meet the person, and there's the eye contact, right? And you feel the energy. All that's gone in social media. You never even know who's the picture. They
Yes.
can be stolen identity. And it's so sad, but that happens all the time.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, Ron, I have two more questions and I'll let you go.
Yeah.
So, you were in your younger 20s when, this happened. How have your views changed from then till now, and just in life in general? And do you think your views would have been the same? It's a hard question. I know it's a loaded question. Would they have been the same knowing yourself if you didn't go through this?
Well, honestly, I don't think I'd still be here if I didn't have this accident. I was a crazy guy. They took crazy challenges, and the service the service matured me, but it still was pretty crazy. So divinely in the sense that my accident happened again to bring out a better version of myself. Nothing else would have brought out that version of me. And so, uh, as I look back at my younger years, I don't think at first I'd be it. If I was, I just wouldn't be the same person. I mean, all your life experiences, the road that goes up and down, the roller coaster, that's what makes you who you are. And that's what life is, you know? And so I like the ups and the downs because when it's down, you know, it's a lot of times it's just self-awareness and growth. And through that, as you look at it, you learn from it and you move on a better, smarter person. And that's who I am because of my accident, my injury.
And I know that was a loaded question. I just wanted you to fill in the blanks, just from your
Yeah.
perspective. Right? You could have went many different ways with that answer, but and I do appreciate it. So, in closing, as we first started out, the theme of our conversation was purpose, and we touched
Right.
on many different components within the purpose world. What would be your and you touched on it, but in closing, to hammer it home for young adults starting out, even if they went into the Coast Guard or something that was their passion, what I don't like to say the word advice because that's got a weird direction. But what would be your delivery?
Advice? My advice?
All
Well, you
right,
know,
advice.
so you choose a career, don't go at it half-ass. Put 110% into it because what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Right.
And so if you're choosing a career and that's going to be what your life is, why not be the best that you can do at that? And that be thankful for the opportunity for this because there are so many people that don't have that opportunity that you have. So it's your attitude and how and your perceptions, how you see things, and your appreciation. And given the opportunity to get a career that you love, which I hope that's what you're going to do, I think that's the key to life. It really
Absolutely.
is.
And I don't want
I
to be
mean,
redundant with that question. It was a reinforcement as we wrap this up. Now, here's a question. Do you think one should go to college? Is college necessary today,
uh,
knowing what you know now?
uh, the college is the answer.
Well, not the answer. Do you think that most young adults after high school should go to college?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Unless you're very mature, I think that it's a waste of time and money. I think you need to grow up more. I think you have to have a different outlook and perception of your life and where you're at and what's important to you, what you value, because younger people are into partying and you know, it's just life gets more serious as you get older.
Right, but
And
you say that though, but how does one get to that point? How does one, if they don't know any different, how do they
how do
get,
they get to that point?
yeah,
Well, you work. You maybe it's not the first, maybe it's not your ideal goal, but take a step toward that. Anything that molds you, that makes you better, wiser, stronger, those are investing in your future. Now, not everyone is in that situation, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of young people out of high school, they're as mature as hell and they're smart as hell, and they should go to college. But if you evaluate yourself and ask yourself honestly where you're at on that scale, if you're at a certain point, go for it. If you're not, I say wait till you move up the ladder on that scale and then take college. I'll give you an example. Okay, so I went back to college after my injury. Before college, I was a class clown. Okay, I got high in the afternoons. I didn't take school very serious. I did okay to pass, but I could have done so much better if I only applied myself. But that wasn't important to me. Now, after my injury, everything that I could gain back, I tried to improve and make better. Going back to college was my second chance at being a student. And damn it, I was going to be the best student there could be. Why? Because that I was mature. I had different goals. I mean, everything about me was different. And so, I'd gone to college right off the bat from high school. Yeah, if I would have flunked out. But going with more maturity, different understanding, different values, made me a top 4.0 student for almost the whole time.
So let me
And
make sure I understand this. You were a crazy nut at a young
oh,
age.
uh, I was definitely a crazy partying, marijuana smoking, beer drinking, crazy hellraiser. That part of you that qualifies you for going to the service.
Sure.
And so yeah, I was all those things. And I'm not ashamed of it. That's a lot of times that's what young people do.
Yeah,
They're
you're
all
right.
like, get the partying out to make room for the real life.
Right. Here's a question that I did not ask you.
Yeah.
Do you or did you have a role model at all growing up?
First of all, my father.
Yep.
In fact, my father, I always tried to be like my dad, and a lot of times compare myself to my father, which was very unrealistic because he was an adult and I was just a kid. And I put a lot of pressure on myself that maybe wasn't the best for me, but my father was just so damn talented, the jack of all trades. I mean, and he was Italian and his passion for cooking was in his food. And oh my God, some people would eat my father's food and start to cry. I swear, and so my dad was such a great role model for me. And outside my father, I would say Cat Stevens.
And
Uh,
Steve?
Cat Stevens was because I was just getting into guitar and I was learning some of his songs. I taught myself how to play guitar. And then, started taking some of my poems and putting it to music. So Cat Stevens was a big mentor of mine. And today, I would love to meet Billy Joel.
Billy Joel.
Oh, Billy Joel is like, I look like him. We have a lot of the same passions.
Wait a minute. You said you look like him?
Oh, I think I do. I got the bald head of plumpy round head.
I need to get you up here.
I'm jolly, I'm funny, and he loves to fish, he loves the water. Just a lot. I would love to sit down and just talk with him. I mean, he's one of these musicians that he's got the record for selling out Madison Square Garden. I mean, but his music is like so creative and fun
I do like it.
and real. It's just, and so my goal one day, and I've had several goals, and I've met some of my musician goals, but I always put the word out. That's why I'm doing it now. If Billy Joel ever hears this, if ever makes the chance, I would love to sit down and talk with him.
That'd be great. Yeah, you never know, right?
Well, that's true. You never know in life. So, but if you don't put it out, you'll never know.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Ron, this has been great. You definitely gave me a different perspective. I'm always here to learn myself.
Likewise.
Yeah. Hopefully we can catch up again, maybe in person or chat again. But I would definitely like to share this with folks as we discussed and your audience. And I wish you well, buddy.
Thank you, man. I'll leave with you that in any sense that you can utilize me, please don't hesitate to contact me. Our paths cross for a reason.
Yeah.
I believe it. You're going to help me. I'm going to help you. That's the great thing in life. And we've just started a new partnership.
Yeah.
And so please invest in me and I'll invest in you.
Cool. I appreciate that, Ron.
You're welcome. And thank you for inviting me here today.
Okay. Let me just make sure I can do this. All right, Ron, I'm gonna let you go and we'll talk soon, all right?
Ron from Tucson says goodbye.
See you, Ron.
Bye.